Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of emotional intelligence, and I'm going to be breaking down my blog, 5 different red flags to look out for in a relationship. And if you've never seen the ArmaniTalks blog, you definitely should check it out. There's a lot of brand new content in the blog that's not on this YouTube channel. And the way to check it out is you go on ArmaniTalks.com, hit blog, and check out a lot of cool entries later on after this episode is done. A red flag is something that is a warning sign. It's something that spells doom in the making. And if you're not aware of the red flags from the beginning, what will happen is that you will often think, this is going to go away, or this is not a big deal, only for it not to go away, for it to be a very big deal. And the thing to understand is that your red flags are not always going to be someone else's red flags. Each relationship is different. So consume the red flags in today's talk with a word of caution. Don't immediately just cut it off with your partner because you notice something. See whether or not it's a red flag in context to your relationship. Each relationship is different, therefore you must treat it as unique. With that being said, let's get started off with the first red flag, which is wants to be alone with the opposite sex. This is a very polarized debate nowadays, where there's a group of people that say that men and women can be friends, and there's another group of people that say men and women cannot be friends. If you want to understand my nuanced take on this, I'll link the full video that I made on the topic right on here in the card. Or if you're just watching from TV, you can just type in, "Can men and women be friends? Armani Talks." The summary of that video, I said, yes, men and women can be friends. But whenever we're asking, can men and women be friends? We're not just asking about friendship. What we're really asking is it appropriate for my partner to be alone with the opposite sex multiple times alone? And for that, my answer is a staggering no. Mainly because of a thing called biology. Another thing called orbiters. Orbiters are guys who pretend to play the friend card for a long time to only make a move in the future. And also because if anything bad happens, unfortunately, this person is not going to garner much sympathy because they'll be like, well, what did you expect to happen? I mean, that is a guy or that is a girl. So if your partner is someone who sees life completely differently and they want to have, let's say, these random puzzle nights, or you could even argue movie nights, which equates to date nights with the opposite sex multiple times when you're not there, that is a big red flag. It's one thing if they're chilling with the opposite sex in a group setting, but in a solo setting, it creates a lot of problems. That's red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, this is going to sound very counterintuitive, especially from the author of The Level Up Mentality, which is currently available right there, which is currently available on Amazon. Too absorbed with self-improvement. In my book, The Level Up Mentality, I actually have a section called The Social Creature. And I specifically introduced this section because whenever people are too obsessed with self-improvement, too obsessed with leveling up, they become very egotistical in the process and they become very judgmental. Because when you're leveling up, one thing that you will see is that you have a lot more control than you thought. If you want to level up the way that you look, and you see, if I count my calories and I simply eat less calories than the amount that I burn for the day, then it is mathematically proven that I will lose weight. You do something like this, you see how much control that you have. And each time that you collect more wins where you are showing control, the more that you think that you could do anything, therefore your partner must be able to do everything. And if you're not being social while doing self-improvement, you're going to have too much of the me mentality, While for a relationship, you need to have the us mentality. So whenever someone is too obsessed with self-improvement and they're not balancing it out with some form of social skills, these people often become a red flag because they turn their relationship into this boot camp of sorts, and it scares the other person. The other person says, my life is already very chaotic. I'm not trying to come to the relationship for it to be more chaotic. You are supposed to be my peace. So whenever someone is too obsessed with self-improvement, you really gotta watch out. Red flag number 3, they are too non-confrontational. A nice person is someone that can be pleasant only for the sake of avoiding some form of confrontation. They really want to be accepted. And the problem with this, especially in a relationship dynamic, is that it's very normal for fights to occur. And when fights do occur, it's good to talk it out. But let's say you're the person that every now and then you're willing to confront the partner and say, this is wrong. But the partner will always say, okay, I completely get it. And let's say they're facing a certain emotion, but they never say it. And if they never say it, and they say, well, everything is good, they're still feeling those emotions that they're bottling up. And they will maybe share those emotions with others. Not you, but others. And when this happens, the relationship never is tested, right? The person who is normally doing the confronting may think, something is up. This person doesn't seem as though they really care about anything. Or this person may say, wow, it felt really good to get that win today. Let me bring up something else so I could get more wins in the future. So this person is becoming more ignorant, while the non-confrontational person is becoming more passive. It's very important to tell the partner, hey, I know we're going to get through some silly arguments every now and then, but that's not going to separate us. So if anything is bothering you, tell me. Don't expect me to read your mind. You really gotta tell me. So it's a red flag when they're too non-confrontational because they're still feeling the emotions. They're just not telling you. Red flag number 4 is when there's a big maturity gap. A maturity gap is when there's different in priorities in life. And this is not rocket science, but nowadays on the internet, since everyone is a relationship coach, they're giving different advice. They're saying that guys that are 35 or 40 should pursue women that are 18 or 19 years old. And I think in the biological sense, if these guys want to have 10 plus kids or even 8 kids, that makes a lot of sense. But if these guys just want to have 1 or 2 kids, then pursuing someone that's 18 or 19, in my opinion, is not smart. It's actually a red flag because there are maturity gaps that are involved. Someone at age 40 should have a completely different list of priorities than someone who is 18 or 19. Like, imagine that you're dating an 18-year-old and they're like, hey, do you want to come to prom with me? I mean, something about that just doesn't feel right, especially if you're a 40-year-old man. And you would think, okay, well, they're dating me right now, so Armani is wrong. Not really. These relationships often implode out of the blue moon. The young person will just stray. They seem to be picking up a bunch of these skill sets of a good husband or a good wife. And then one day, they just implode and then they go back to the clubs. It's not as though anything is wrong with going to the clubs and socializing, getting loose, etc. That's something that I expect from a lot of 18 or 19-year-olds. But the 40-year-old is thinking, well, what happened? Where did things go wrong? The place that things went wrong, my friend, is that there's a huge maturity gap. You guys just have a difference in priorities. You, as the 40-year-old, you want something long-lasting, something deep, while the 18 or 19-year-old, they're looking for self-discovery. They want to gather more data of what life is like, and they don't want something long and deep for the most part. So everything that I'm saying is for the most part. Every now and then you will meet an 18 or 19-year-old that does want something deep. But I don't think, just for practical experience, it's the smart thing to initially assume. So that's maturity gap, or red flag number 4. Red flag number 5 is that their friends are in a different stage. This is something that people don't want to admit. Your partner's friends have a big influence on your partner, and your partner's friends will help your partner understand what success is. So let's hypothetically say you want marriage. Your partner wants marriage. Your friend circle is predominantly married, or they're trying to get married, while your partner's friend circle is predominantly single and they don't want to get married. Or that's not even something that is within the near time frame. To me, that's a red flag. Because your partner, they are going to view success in a radically different way versus if their friends did want to get married. When all of their friends are single, the way that your partner views success is not having to answer to anyone, Snapchatting your night out, having a fun time, being spontaneous. While on the flip side, if your partner's friends, right, most of them are in a relationship, your partner views success as successfully making sacrifices for their partner, how to manage through conflicts and still pursue marriage anyways, how to build something deep, how to, or Snapchatting vacation spots that they're taking with their long-term partner rather than just going to the clubs. So you really want to analyze your partner's friend circle as well. What stage of life are they in? If they're all single and just popping bottles and stuff, then that is a red flag in the making. You need the holistic view, not just the view of your partner. So those were the 5 red flags that you need to watch out for, especially when you are pursuing a new relationship or if you are in a relationship. And by the way, this video is simply part 1. In the future, I'm going to release a part 2, which will include more red flags that you need to be aware of. If you want to stay updated for the part 2 video, go on and hit that like for me so you get recommended my videos, and hit subscribe, hit that bell notification so you see my latest posts. Avoid red flags, or at least do your best to mitigate them. With that being said, I will catch you on the next episode.